What's up, fam? How you guys doing? This is going to be your Love and Basketball reunion review. Here's the thing. I don't really think I have a whole lot to give y'all because, one, most of what I would have to say I said in my reviews because they didn't really, because Jen wasn't there and because Tami did what she did, which I'll get to in a moment. I believe the reunion was cut short because there's only one a part one, and I don't think they've ever really done that except for maybe the first year or two. They've always had like a part one, part two. But I think if everybody who was supposed to participate had fully participated, they would have had more than one part. And so the only I got a few things I'll touch on, but other than that, I don't really have a whole lot. So first of all, we already knew the cat was out the bag a long time ago that Jennifer did not come. She sent word via her attorneys at the very last minute that she didn't feel safe, that she felt like that her safety would be in jeopardy, and so she was not going to come on the show. And basically, Shawnee let it be known that, well, basically, this is work. You ain't show up for work. You're an unreliable employee, and that don't look good. She obviously is not in a position to at that time to definitively say one way or the other, because I'm sure she had to get more information and certainly talk to the rest of the team, because Shawnee is an influential producer on the show, but she is not the say all and be all of the show. But I think it's probably pretty clear that her ass ain't coming back. I think that she should come back. I know a lot of people are mad at her, and I don't really have a whole lot for her, but I just think for storyline purposes, there's a lot there. I think that for the purposes of drama and storyline, this storyline with her in Malaysia, this storyline with her and Evelyn, this storyline with her and Shawnee, like there's a lot there. If Tami comes back, which I don't think Tami's coming back, I think that's a wrap. But there's definitely storyline there. So for the purposes of, even her and Kristen, like their relationship, for the purposes of drama, it's something there. Now, as far as whether I want to hear her bullshit, probably not. But nobody really knew. Shawnee knew, obviously. But to the rest of the girls, it was really a shock. Because even Evelyn was like, are they going to bring her out later? Like, but nah, her ass wasn't there. Nope. I told y'all I ain't gonna talk about the fashions and stuff. I don't get into all that because stuff I like nobody else likes, and then the stuff that nobody likes I like. So I keep that whole thing to myself. But I will say this: nobody's fashion really impressed me. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. So, um. So Tami told OG about all her shady comments before the show. So it was really anticlimactic as far as the Tami OG piece. And Tami's point was, look, in the beginning, everybody goes through the whole hazing thing. Everybody goes through that whole situation. But once me and OG developed a legitimate and a real relationship, a real friendship, I didn't want her to be blindsided and I didn't want to be fake about it. So I let her know the things that I said in my confessional, the little smart ass comments and side comments I made, because I didn't want it to come off me being disingenuous, and I didn't want her to feel some kind of way, because in the beginning I did make a lot of comments that I'm sorry I made, but I knew she was going to see them. And so of course OG was like, I took it as just woman shit, but I appreciate the fact that she talked to me and let me know what was coming, so that, and for that I respect that. And of course, and I do too, big ups, I respect that. OG and Kristen got into it again, and here's the thing that I don't like. And I don't like this with reunions. And they did this with the Love and Hip Hop reunion, the Atlanta one a few weeks back. This is what I can't stand. You think people resolve an issue, and then they fighting about the same shit all over again at the reunion. I thought that Kristen and OG had come to a happy truce. Just because you're looking at it again at the reunion doesn't mean you got to argue again. If y'all had come to a happy place, if y'all had resolved all y'all's issues, then this should have been done. And then after they sit there and do this whole back and forth arguing thing, then in the very next segment where OG's talking about how losing her brother and who reached out to her, she talks about how Kristen was there for her and she appreciated it. So my thing is, don't manufacture beef. The purpose of the reunion is to reflect back on the season, and if there is still some conflict, let's see if we can resolve it. But if the conflict has been resolved, we don't have to rehash it. We don't have to do that. Like, it's so stupid. And I just felt like the Kristen OG thing had been resolved. Why are we talking about it? So there was that. But OG was doing too much. OG was doing what she did at the beginning of the season, where she had to keep making little smart comments. She had to be catty. She wouldn't let nobody get nothing in. But I do think that her guard was up. And I think that that's what all that stuff was at the beginning of the season, too, with OG, is that her guard was up and that she was very defensive. And I get it. You new kid on the block, and OG has probably dealt with a lot of things in her life. I'm not going to speak for her because I don't know. But being from coming from another country, you have it as an educator. I deal with this with students all the time. You have a different name. You probably, your name is a little different than the other kids. You dress a little different. Your customs and are a little different, and maybe you were picked on as a kid, and so you have that defense mechanism that the minute you feel like somebody is coming for you, you make a little comment. Because her in Malaysia got into it about her side boob, and she was talking about, my boobs are just fine. No, I think you need to listen to somebody who got a little bit of fashion sense, and I like Malaysia's fashion. I don't always agree with what she wears, but I think that it's always fashionable, if that makes sense. You understand what I'm saying? And so I think that that's valid. And if somebody's trying, just like when she took you for them wigs, yeah, it came from a shady place, but she didn't have step. Those were some good quality ass wigs. And your wig game has gotten better, OG. So you need to just listen to Malaysia when she tell you to stop with the fucking side boob, because it ain't cute. Anyway. Okay. Oh, it's the whole thing with OG and Kristen started because she felt like Kristen was using Jennifer as much as Jennifer was using her to try to get in good with the group. And I agree with that shit. Kristen, you can be mad all you want, but I agree with that because you was real quick to drop Cece the minute the cool kids invited you over to the lunch table. You was quick to leave Cece ass over in the back of the cafeteria. Like my high school, comparison. You know what I mean? Evelyn and Jim were the cool kids, and they asked you to come sit with them, and you dropped them real quick. Anyway, they talked about some of the more serious issues. That's how we got on OG's brother passing, which I call that segment when real life meets reality. I say that all the time. And OG's brother dying while she was filming the season, that's when that real life meets reality. Like, that ain't no fucked up story. I mean, that ain't no made up storyline. It is reality, and you have to deal with it as such. Malaysia dealing with her issues with the police, that's valid. Jackie in therapy, I think that's the best thing that happened this season, y'all. And this is my first year watching Basketball Wives, so I don't know the non in therapy Jackie. I've seen clips, I've heard stories, but I enjoyed Jackie Christie so much this season. Like that first episode with the Go Yoga, I wasn't sure where we was going with it, but I think she is sincere and wanting to be better. I think she is doing the work. As Yanla would say, she is doing the work. I think she is truly, seriously trying to be a better person. And I think that a great storyline for her next season would be her and her daughter trying to come to some sort of reconciliation, or at least be in therapy. I think that would be I think we talked about that last week when Pat was here. I think that would be a great storyline for her next season. Evelyn and Jackie's relationship, I think Evelyn said, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. And she says that I really truly think that Jackie is a better person this year, and that's why we were able to have some sort of a truce. And what I like is that you didn't see no big scene with Jackie and Evelyn where they had to hash it out and have a ponderosa, but you just saw that they were able to be around each other, be in the same room with each other, and not want to go take each other's head off. And for that, I can respect that. Evelyn and Tami, that's what they started getting into it, and Evelyn was like, she's not even going to talk to Tami. They talked about Puerto Rico, which of course again is a real story. They talk about what happened between Evelyn and Tami last year. Like, we thought we left the reunion last year with y'all on somewhat of a good place, but then we come back this year and y'all still going not nipping at each other. Evelyn says that she wasn't really happy with the way the reunion ended last year because she felt like some lies were thrown out with the whole Jackie timeline and the the GoFundMe and all of that stuff, and that the timeline was just blown out of proportion. And that she was upset by that, and that things were getting back to her, that Tami and Jennifer were trying to set her up. But here's what I don't understand about that, Evelyn. If shit was getting back to you that Jennifer and Tami was trying to set you up for the season, why the fuck were you still cool with Jennifer but you was mad at Tami? See, that's that shit I don't understand. You just so determined to be mad at Tami, it doesn't matter about the rest of it. If you heard that the two of them was in cahoots to set you up, then why you mad at one and not mad at the other? That's what I don't understand. Tami said that she didn't come right out and admit it, but she sort of admitted that maybe she overreacted about the whole imitation thing. She said when she saw it, she thought it was funny and it was just blown out of proportion. No, you blew it out of proportion. It wasn't blown out of proportion. You blew it out of proportion. You heard that Evelyn was imitating you and you took it from A to all the way to Z. I still think Shaunie was messy by bringing it to you, but in hindsight, I think Shaunie was bringing it to you so you wouldn't see it and see that she was laughing and thought it was funny. I think she was doing that to cover her ass, not so much to bring drama. I think she was like, I thought that shit was funny, but I know how Tami can be sometimes, so let me go on and let her know that we was talking about her and I laughed. I think that's what that was in hindsight. Then Evelyn and Tami get into this whole back and forth. And they rehashing all the old shit, and Tami apologizes for making the comment about Chad and her doing it on purpose. And instead of Evelyn either just accepting it or keeping her mouth shut, talking about something, she's just an actress. I don't believe it. She's acting. I don't believe anything she's saying. So Tami was like, at that point, I guess Tami was like, you know what? It's nothing I can fucking do. Like, when I apologize, you won't take my apology. It's nothing more that I can fucking do. Like, it is what it is. It's a wrap. And then, unfortunately, y'all, it was storming here last night. At that point, my recording went out, and then it picked back up with Cece and the whole happy ending storyline. So, I don't know what the rest of the argument was, but I'm sure it was the same bullshit. I'm sure somebody might have made a catty comment to somebody else, but whatever. Alright, so now we're on the Kristen, Cece happy ending storyline or whatever. At the end of the day, Cece, this shit just ain't for you. It just ain't for you. They caught your ass in so many contradiction and lies, and Kristen had her damn receipts that she told you that the happy ending was a joke, and that she told you about the happy ending before you even went to lunch with Kristen and Evelyn. With Jennifer and Evelyn. So you knew that Kristen told you that it was a joke and that it was all said in fun and games. And in hindsight, maybe that scene was edited to make it look that way, and that it didn't, and that it really wasn't jokes, and that Evelyn was really joking around. Because if she has the text messages where she's telling you that it's a joke, and even in the text message it says, for the 100th time, I just want to let you know that we were joking, and please let Evelyn and them know that, that it didn't come from me, but that it was joking. Then the whole text message thing came out. Remember when Cece said that Byron told her to send that text message telling them that they don't want to, he doesn't want to pay for any meals anymore because Cece is always paying, and he don't want to do no more Father's Day and brunches and all of that because Cece always ends up paying, and he doesn't want to do it anymore. Cece said that shit more than once. She said it in Amsterdam, and she said it at the reunion, that Byron told her. And Kristen made a good point. Kristen was like, why would Byron tell you to text me to tell my husband when he can just pick up the phone and call his son or me? Like, why would he go a roundabout way? And she was like, well, I don't know. I was just doing what he asked me to do. And she was like, stop acting like you just do whatever the fuck he tell you to do. So then eventually Cece says, they get her to admit, well, I was just telling that I thought you would want to know. Then she says, well, eventually he would have wanted me to tell you anyway, so I just told you. Oh, bitch, that ain't nothing close to what you said. That is nowhere close to what you said. So basically, Byron ain't tell you to say shit. That was a conversation that the two of y'all were having. He was probably venting. To you. I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm going to tell you how this whole thing went down. Y'all had gone out to brunch. Came home from brunch. It must have been brunch for like Father's Day or his birthday or something. He peeped the fact that you paid the bill. He probably asked you, babe, did they give you any money on that bill? And you were like, no, they didn't give me anything, but don't worry about it. I got it. I'm good. And he was like, I've been noticing they do that all the time. It always look like you end up paying. Oh, don't worry about it, boo. I got it. It's cool. But for real, what Kristen said is true. Kristen said that you always take the bill and they try to pay the bill and you won't let them. I believe that shit now. I believe everything Kristen said now because she didn't caught your ass. She had receipts and they caught your ass in lies. So I believe everything Kristen said now. I was giving your ass the benefit of the doubt. But that is gone. And so Byron says to you, you know what? I'm tired of this shit. I'm not doing this no more. We ain't going out to eat no more. I don't want them taking me out to brunch no more. I don't want to do nothing else like that because every time we do that and they supposed to pick up the bill, you end up picking up the bill. And I'm sick of that. I don't think that's fair to you. That was a conversation between the two of y'all. That didn't have shit to do with Kristen and her husband. If Byron had a big enough beef, Byron know how to talk to his son. That's his son. He was his son long before your ass was around. And he gonna be his son when you gone. And now you making it look like Byron asked you to do all of that, and then come to find out you lied. You lied about not knowing about the happy endings thing was a joke. You lied about the text messages to Byron. So then the host asked Mark Lamont Hill, he gonna ask, well, have they come by to see the baby? No, they still ain't been by to visit the baby. So now all of a sudden, I can't tell Byron what to do. Cece, this ain't for you. I don't think you coming back. Kristen, I think you'll be back, or at least be offered the opportunity to come back. But what I appreciate is that Mark Lamont Hill was like, you know what, we're going to end this right here before we get a little, because then they started bringing Byron and the husband, the son into it, and I respect the fact that he was like, okay, let's go stop this right here and let's turn left because this is getting to be a little too deep, for a little too much when we start talking about family. So for that, I can appreciate that. So then Tami and Evelyn get into it again. They start getting into it again. They start going back and forth. And actually, that was when the whole Chad thing came up and Tami tried to apologize. And basically, Evelyn was like, you a lie, you a lie. So then Evelyn brings up about Tami lying about not being able to have children. She was like, you told us in Rome you couldn't have children. You told me and Shawnee that you couldn't have children. So Tami talking about so Shawnee O'Neal, I said that, Shawnee O'Neal. She starts, and Shawnee turns her back to Tami like, I ain't in this shit. So she starts tapping her. Shawnee talking about some Tami, don't tap me. Like, she got an attitude about it. Then, bitch, answer the question. Either you heard her say it or you didn't. Now, all of a sudden, you got fucking amnesia going to say, I don't remember that conversation, so I can't speak on it one way or the other. No, the fuck you do remember. You just don't want to speak against one or the other. Either Evelyn line or Tami line, but you don't want to speak out against one or the other. But you know what the fuck was said. That's why you turned your back. As soon as Evelyn started talking about that, you turned your back like, ooh, don't bring me in it. So they get to arguing about embryos and babies and who can have a baby and who can't have a baby. And Evelyn did take a couple of jabs at Tami, like basically saying that Tami lying about being able to have children and that she's dried up and all this other stuff and how she can have children. She can still have kids if she wants to, but Tami is dried up. And Tami was like, you know what? That's nothing to make fun of. Like, you shouldn't make fun of the fact that I can't have children. Like, what she say? Miscarriages are not nothing to make fun of. I ain't making fun. I'm just stating the fact. And that's when Tami was like, you know what? I appreciate the opportunity, but I'm going to exit stage left. And Tami fucking left. And the producers was like, well, wait a minute. We got a whole package of you and Reggie and the ring and the marriage and the not marriage. She was like, that's great. That's fine, but I'm gone. She put on her slides. She got her assistant to give her slides. She kicked off them Louboutins. She put them slides on. She came up out that jumpsuit. She had on a long t-shirt. She got into her Uber Black and left. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe that is the last we will ever see of Tami Roman on a Basketball Wives stage. And Shawnee even went on to say how we saw how Tami was checked out. And she was. Tami was checked out that whole season. Tami came, I think in the beginning she was going to try to do the bullshit. And that's why she brought up the whole storyline. The whole bullshit with, what's her name? Jennifer and everything. But I just think she just like, I just don't think she got the heart for it anymore. She was like, you know what, I'm just over this. I'm over all this bullshit. And she was done. She was done. And that, ladies and gentlemen, let me make sure I got it all. The only other thing, they started talking about the Malaysia piece and Amsterdam, but with Jennifer not being there and Tami not being there, there really wasn't a whole lot to talk about. And, Mark Lamont Hill even said, I find it very curious that the two people that are responsible for the biggest drama of this season are not here to talk about it or defend themselves. And that pretty much eliminated a whole lot of what they could or couldn't talk about, because all you're going to get is what Malaysia said. And, of course, Evelyn went on to say that the situation with her and Jen, that she's done. And she said, she really loves Jennifer and she's sorry to see her go that way. And she said she was really open to a relationship with Jennifer again because she really didn't like the way things ended between them. But that basically at this point it's a wrap. And that was pretty much it. The only other thing that I thought was some bullshit was they let Evelyn have the last word, and Evelyn again starts talking about Tami and how Tami's lying about her health issues, and she thinks that that's something we need, that's just something scary, that why people would lie about their health. Again, why you have the last word? Why are you wasting it on Tami? Why are you speaking about Tami? Like, you really can't keep her name out your mouth. I don't get it. So I spoke for 20 minutes on something I said it wasn't a whole lot there, but there it is. So there it is, you guys. Until next season, we'll see what happens in the off season, because I'm sure that Tami is gonna have, if she hasn't already, and I just missed it, I'm sure she's gonna have a lot to say about the accusation of her lying about her health issues. So we will see how that comes down. Y'all have a good one.